Let's go back to our breaking story at this hour on the Western Cape taxi strike. We are now joined by, for a reaction by Nceba Enge, the first Western Cape Santaco Deputy President. Nceba, thank you so much for making time. Good evening.
Good evening, sir, and good evening, viewers at home.
And I guess let's start there with the breaking news, and I guess good news all round that the strike has been called off. Just tell us about what took place and what eventually led to this particular decision at this late hour.
Hey, sir, after a long time, at least eventually we agreed with the City of Cape Town and also the Department of Mobility. And we agreed on offences which we viewed as impoundable offences, which is the three offences that we've been referring to. So they, at the last minute, agreed that indeed these are impoundable offences, and all the other non-impoundable offences will then be reviewed in a period of 14 days through the task team that was formed before by the minister.
No, but there was, well, I guess accusations and counter-accusations about who's coming to the party, who's not coming to the party. What was the impasse? And, I mean, why did this take this long for this to be made, where we even saw about 5 lives being lost in that matter, and I'm sure beyond the 5 lives, livelihoods and a whole lot more was lost in this process?
Indeed, that is true, and that's not what we wanted to see happening. And as I said, I think 30 minutes ago, that we really send our condolences to those families that died whilst we were on the strike. But that does not mean that we are saying that our members were responsible for that. But coming back to your question, the impasse was about 2 acts, which is the National Land Transport Act versus National Road Traffic Act, whereby it is clearly defined in the National Land Transport Act that only 3 offences can warrant an officer to impound your vehicle, which is vehicle operating without operating without an operating license, roadworthy, and the driver that does not have a PDP and driver's license. Those are only 3, and we couldn't agree when then all the offences that are clearly defined as well, together with their sanctions in the National Road Traffic Act, were mixed together and stated as conditions of operating.
When these talks were taking place, Nceba, and you should say some of the issues have been well ventilated, but where was the disconnect with the government that it took this long to find each other, to find a solution that will bring the strike to an end?
I didn't hear you. Was a cut in the phone?
Okay, I was saying that in your conversations with the government, with the Western Cape government, what was the impasse? What was the disconnect that led to this taking so long, the decision to call off the strike, to take this long?
All what we couldn't agree with was, as I said, that they were mixing these. The other offences that are defined in the National Road Traffic Act that do not warrant a traffic officer to impound your van, but there are other things that the traffic officer can do. For instance, if your driver is speeding, is driving on a yellow line, is driving under the influence, then it is stated in that act that the driver can be arrested or a fine can be issued to him. All those things are clear. It does not say that there should be an impoundment of your vehicle. And that is where we couldn't agree with one another, because they were pushing for those offences to be accepted by us. And we're saying that we cannot accept something that is punishing us. We went on a stairway because this was killing our business. If your van is impounded, you have to go and pay plus minus 10,000 rand.
Was this specifically a Western Cape issue, Nceba, when you look at it in terms of the rules and different rules, if I can say that were implemented for impounding taxes?
Yes, it is only with a Western Cape, because even if you can observe, you don't see this happening. And as a government and the municipality, you don't create rules out of anger and out of what you want to see happening. You create rules out of the law.
Another factor here, Nceba, if you can still hear me, is we've seen a lot of violence that came with this, and something that you as Santaco, to a certain extent, have distanced yourself from, saying that it was not even your members who were involved. I mean, what can you say about that, considering that, as we said, that livelihoods and lives were lost in the process, and some of them, whether rightfully or wrongfully, is pointed in your direction?
No, we don't accept that. We distance ourselves. We will also distance ourselves tomorrow, unless the law enforcement can come up with an evidence that will show clearly that this person is a Santaco member. Then we'll talk another language.
What are you expecting in the next 14 days? Because the statement says that there will be discussions, lack of a better phrasing again, in the next 14 days to discuss the way forward. What is the expectation, and what will you as Santaco be looking at?
We are looking at the government, City of Cape Town, together with us as Santaco, to come under one roof and have a robust discussion about the issues that we couldn't agree on. Like, for instance, some of the issues that they put there, they compromised, so to speak, so that at least we can start operating tomorrow, and said we will then discuss these issues. Then you cannot predict what will transpire on the discussions up until they materialize. But we are hoping for a best solution on all of the issues that are on the table. There are so many issues that we didn't even talk about, whereby, for instance, if your vehicle is being impounded, there is a fine for the driver, and there's a fine for the impound, and at times there is also a fine for you, the person who is releasing that vehicle, for the tickets or the fines that you didn't pay. They are then called warrants here, and you've got what is called the admin mark, meaning
Nceba, are you still there with us?
that you cannot get your disc, and you cannot get your license. So these are the things that we need to discuss. Why am I saying so? Is the following. We are saying that there is nowhere in the law where it says you need to pay the fine of the driver before you get your vehicle from the impound. We don't dispute the fact that you must pay your impound fee. That we don't dispute. But there is a dispute whereby you have to pay the fine of your driver before you release your van. That is point number one. Two, there is also a dispute whereby you have to pay your warrant before you get your van from the pound. So these are the issues that we'll be discussing. Hence, I said, therefore, I'm hoping that at least we'll meet one another here and there.
Absolutely.
I cannot predict what will be the progress of the...
Just very briefly, in conclusion, can you guarantee the people of Cape Town of their safety tomorrow now that the strike has been called off? What can you say to them at this point? Those who are worried and were not too sure if they will get transport to go to work tomorrow.
No, I want to say clearly to our people out there that we have called off the stairway, so our vehicles will be working as normal as from very early tomorrow morning. So they must not worry about not getting the taxi. They will get the taxis.
Nceba, thank you very much. We're going to have to leave it there. That's Nceba Enge, the first Western Cape Santaco Deputy President. And as you've heard, the strike has officially been called off.